Remember that they're changing my voice. So on the screen you see an example of what is a serious provocation, but compared to a lot of the provocations that I go through daily, it is a mild provocation. Okay, so the person insults God in a certain way. And the only reason I posted it, I wanted people to understand the situation here. There's large groups of people in America, and together they make the majority. And they're very immature, right? They say these things that are very provocative, very childish, very toxic. And it's sort of where in popular culture, the LGBT community and the rock and roll community, metalheads, goths, punks, they're even called punks, right? And freaks. And this video is not about insulting them. It's about clarifying what's going on. I hope they do the right thing. I hope they stop doing what they're doing. I hope they stop their self-harm and their gaslighting. Okay, both the Democrats and the Republicans are wrong. The Libertarians are wrong. And it has to do with their childish mentality and their refusal to grow up and tell the truth. The rejection of universal virtue and morality. And that's what the second picture on the screen is about. It's about how they refuse to accept that there are objective facts when it comes to what path is more respectable. Okay, someone who is virtuous, who dedicates their life to virtue and helping people and insisting on a moral order is more respectable than a child molester. But these people are acting like there's no such thing as what there is, which is a superior path. So you see that kind of childishness, that refusal. They don't want to grow up and do the right thing. Same with the governing class. They get their fancy dinner parties, what have you. They don't want to admit that morality is greater than wealth, and they're mere human rules, customs, and traditions. They're mere eugenics and racial cultures, and they sabotage people and so on and so forth. So ironically, they cling on to social norms, but they refuse to admit that rockers and LGBT people in popular culture, they do not understand religion or morality or the family, etc. But they stereotype and they oversimplify and overgeneralize. And they say, oh yeah, here we go again with this. And say, hey, you're not following certain norms that their community is putting out there. And so therefore, they shouldn't take your arguments, which are obviously superior and more logical than theirs, seriously. Which is unbelievably retarded, right? It's oppressive. It's sick. They're basically the fascists they claim to be fighting. Hey, they're LGBT fascists. They're feminist fascists. Okay, they're establishment cronies. Okay, just like the right wing, just like Jake Lang and MAGA. So there you see on the screen the evidence of their failure and their failed philosophy. So obviously, when we're talking about demons and so-called gods, we know that in a strong sense they exist, right? For example, we know when somebody's in an angry mood, we know that exists. We can't kind of quantify it scientifically, but we know it exists. They talk about school spirits. So I keep getting interrupted here because they're completely immature and they can't contain their stupidity and their animosity because they're undisciplined, which goes back to the life principles, the martial art principles, okay? And the refusal to admit that the idea of people channeling things for generations or trying to come into a generational spirit exists. That's what Zeus refers to in all these things. They're demons, they're pathetic, okay? They're not worth following, okay? And then there's the one true God who is worth following. And these things exist because you build up to it, right? Epigenetics proves they exist. Common sense proves it's empirical evidence.